What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. Ivan Astro is a longtime friend of the channel who has topped multiple times with different stun decks that were all relatively amazing. You can actually probably go back through the channel and see some of the decks he's topped with. So he was actually a bit retired, it seems, and came back out of retirement when he saw the diverse format and heard about a brand new stun card, an Inspector Border, and here we see one of the first top 8s at a 150-man Brazil regional with straight up stun. This man's bold, plays no extra deck when realistically he could play an extra deck. There's not too much stopping him from going through extra deck plays, and I guess I would actually suggest, if you're playing this competitively, to maybe put one in. Sometimes you might want to overlay 2 cards if there's a game-winning scenario where you can Utopia the Lightning for massive damage or something, or you have all these continuous traps, so maybe a Heartland Draco might be good to have. But this man went bold, went hard, came out of retirement, and took it down. So let's go ahead and get into his tournament rounds. I've asked him for shoutouts. We'll see if he gets to see the message by the time that I actually get through this. So he said, regional at Sao Paulo, Brazil, 2018. Hope I didn't murder that. I probably did. In the first round, he played against Shadow Dinosaurs and beat that deck 2-0. In the second round, he played against Pendulum Magicians and won 2-1. And round 3, again, Shadow Dinosaurs, seems pretty popular over there, 2-1. Round 4, Magicians once again, 2-0, so kind of mirrored ones. But then in round 5, he comes up against Trickstars and loses 0-2. He says it's a bad matchup, it affects continuous Inspector Border, no negate. I wonder what he meant by that. I'm not quite sure, but I do know that the bad matchup also comes from the field spell being able to early force your back rows, such as the sword or the ring, and then also like locking them down and just killing them in the end phase. The field spell definitely really hurts this deck, and at the beginning of this format, that's why I thought this deck, when it goes so far, is running into so many Trickstar matchups and decks like that. But despite this, the deck's managing to do relatively well. We're seeing it actually come up here and ram itself into the top 8 of this pretty big event. Round 6, Pendulum Magicians once again 2-0. So he's managed to 2-0 2 Magicians at this point, meaning he doesn't really fear going second against them so much. He's not really, you know, their setup isn't going through what he's trying to do unless they're playing the FTK, it would seem, because he's not playing hand traps. He's not really equipped for the FTK version, and it's really hard to run hand traps in this deck considering card itemize. We'll talk more about the deck in a second. And then he plays against the Mirror Match 2-0. Round 7, you're playing stun, you're feeling good, you're at the top tables, and you run into this Mirror Match. This Mirror Match is really sickening, by the way. Like, it's just crazy to have to deal with mirror forces, to go through back rows, to try to manage your resources, not commit too much to the board, and still try to press for damage. This is one of the worst mirror matches in the game. It's up there with the Kaiju and the Psy-Frame mirrors, I would say. Then round 8, he loses to Invoked again at 1-2. His final record being 6-2, but he squeezes into that 8th place spot, taking it down. I always love Ivan Astro's decks, his attitude, how he presents like everything. It's just so fun to see someone dedicated to stun. Somebody earlier had said there's no playstyles in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I said there definitely is. You can say that playstyles don't exist in some senses, but some players will only enjoy defensive decks like this that are able to stun the opponent and react to your opponent's cards and deal with your opponent's cards. And then there's also people who like mashing in the combos, offensive playing. This is one of the few playstyles, I believe, in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's really cool to see a dedicated through the years stun player just rack up the tops. It's really awesome with Ivan Astro. So let me see if he has more notes here. He said, Demise stun, Migate no Gokyui. I hope I'm not murdering that as well. He said, I was not playing for almost a year and I came back with everything. Thanks all the fans for me today and my team Astro team. My phrase for my videos is #fame, or I think it's femme. I don't really know how to pronounce that either. I'm so sorry, guys, for murdering everything, but hashtag pain. And he says, can you also remember the videos, the decks that appeared on your channel? Dinosaur, Paleozoic Top 16 YCS Brazil, Top 8 Dark Lord Regional Brazil. Yes, I do remember. This is just one of the coolest kind of like deck profiles where this man comes full circle into another stun. Like when Demise first came out. Like we didn't know what kind of stun decks would appear. He topped like instantly with Demise stun. So let's go ahead and see if he has those shoutouts. He just says again, thanks all my fans for their support and in the tournament. So there we go. Let's go ahead and get into this deck a bit. Thunder King newly placed at 3, and we can see it's a huge impact on the meta. A lot of decks still can't deal with Thunder King being there. They need to get around it and make it get itself off the field. And not everybody's playing board wipes, and then you even have protection for it in the form of Phantom Knight's Sword. I really do like how he's kind of set up his monster count here to not be too low either. 3 Fossil Dinahs, 3 Inspector Border, and 2 Banishers. Usually a lot of decks like this end with exactly 9 or 10 in their monster count, and I think that's too low. 11's pretty good. Banisher really takes care of a lot of resources. Like if you're trying to link summon with World Chalice and there's a Banisher on the field, a lot of your resources are going to where you're not going to be able to use them again. You're not going to make that soul charge come back, and being backed up by traps is very important. Inspector Border, there's a lot of confusion around this card. Basically, this card is in the stun aspect that your opponent needs different kinds of cards to activate effects. They need to control a Ritual of Fusion, a Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, or Link monster, basically, and then for the different kinds of cards they have on the field is how many monster effects can activate. So if you're to start out with Inspector Border turn 1, they can no longer Ash Blossom your Card of Demise. They can no longer Ash Blossom your Pot of Desires. No hand traps are basically going to affect you. You can't activate Droll to these cards either. It just really gives you such a strong presence when you're going first. Same with Fossil Dinah, stopping your opponent from being able to special summon and making them commit a monster to get over this is huge. But like he said, the Trickstars are a bad matchup because you have the field spell locking down your back row that's already trying to protect Dinah, and then you have big 1800/1600 monsters that deal kind of easily with Dinah. This is honestly one of the better cards against Trickstars because Dinah cannot search, the field spell cannot search, and they have a relatively hard time dealing with this. They pretty much need something like Eater of Millions to take care of him, or Scapegoat, and then being able to make a monster that's going to force him, such as Mrs. Radiant, off of the board. But yeah, Trickstars just have so many tools even to deal with Thunder King that it's mind control, those sorts of things. It's really harsh. Actually, that goes for almost all these monsters besides Fossil Dinah. Then again, he's getting run over a lot of the time. So Trickstars were the deck kind of keeping this at bay, but the format is so diverse that the amount of times you'll face Trickstars in a tournament really comes a little bit down to luck, and he only had to face one of them. 3 Card of Demise, getting that reprint in the Kaiba collection, I believe it is. We've got 3 Pot of Desires, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Regeki, 1 Dark Hole. I'm kind of surprised at the Dark Hole because you always want to focus on establishing. Let me read if this protects you from your own destruction. I actually don't know that answer. Activate by targeting 1 face-up monster on the field. It gains 800 attack. Also, if it would be destroyed... Yep, by battle or card effect, not your opponent's. So this does protect from your own Dark Hole. That's kind of some cool synergy. 3 Duality, 3 Moon Mirror Shield. If you don't know what this card is, it is amazing. It basically allows you to always win in battle if you have it attached to your monster. Basically, these already really powerful stun cards with big attack can no longer be outed by being run over. We have 3 Storming Mirror Force because you have to lay a Mirror Force down that's going to protect your monsters. You're not getting your board flooded typically when you have any of these out, so this is a really good card to protect them. 3 Phantom Knight's Break Sword, 3 Bottomless Trap Hole, and thanks for that follower subscription. 2 Torrential Tributes. Again, I was surprised to kind of see these as well, but if your board is taken care of, it's kind of that resort that you're able to push back on your opponent at the right time once they're trying to really go in on you. To Dark Bribe, the interesting card. I gotta give DZ a little bit of a wag of the finger. Nobody plays Dark Bribe, but his points in his video are totally legit. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Dark Bribe, but the fact that there is Solemn Judgment kind of gives this extra negation push the chance to save your Solemn perhaps later if you have both of them at the same time. So I am a fan of that. That's pretty cool. And you know what, as much as I've disliked this card in the past, this is kind of the deck it finds itself at home. We got one Macro, one Ring of Destruction, the Solemn Judgment, and the Solemn Warning. Next, we get into the side deck with 3 Godarlas, 1 Radian, 1 Barrier Statue of the Stormwind. So I was kind of surprised to see Banisher in the main deck over a Barrier Statue, but depending on your matchup and the Barrier Statue you're playing, you can just straight up end up losing to something such as the Wind Kaiju. But he even prepares his Kaiju around his Barrier Statue in the side deck. We have 1 Dimensional Fissure, 3 MSTs, 1 7 Tools. This was a really funny card to see, maybe for evenly matched. I really do think it's cool to see it. 2 Heavy Storm Duster, and 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. Another huge reason for Dark Bribe is evenly matched, because you cannot afford to just take that card to the face. But overall, great deck building, a nice deck. Oh, the old Monarch joke, nice extra deck, bro. But seriously, great job. Astro, man, you always blow me away, and I really do enjoy these deck profiles whenever you top.